And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session. We have some new faces with us today. I roped them into one. I just want to wait for a couple of people to filter into the room before we start. But just a bit of housekeeping first. So, happy Thursday. Today's session is focused on hackathons and all you need to know about them. We're being joined by Jim and Stefan, who are the best people to get all this information from. They've kindly given us an hour out of their very busy schedules, so let's make the most of the hour. The session is being recorded and it'll be available in the coming days on the Careers Hub. So you can refer back to it there or catch up on it if you can't watch the whole thing. But just some basic housekeeping first. Firstly, we do have an hour to dedicate here and we'll keep it prompt and on schedule as always. Please close all your other browsers and use this hour well to take the information and ask any questions you may have. There is a chat function here that a lot of you will already probably be talking in, so please do get used to it and ask your questions. But there is a Q&A section of the chat, so just make sure to keep all questions in there and all of the general chit chat in the normal chat function. It just makes it easier for us to get to the questions at the end. And we will be dedicating the last 15 to 20 minutes at the end just to questions. So anything you have, pop them in there and we'll get to them. And as always, this is a networking session, so pop your LinkedIn into the chat and connect with each other. I'll pop mine in now and Stefan and Jim might pop theirs in. But yeah, that's about it. So if you're all happy to go, we will kick off. Now we'll go tiny. Okay, so sorry now. Okie dokie.
Already.
Okay, who is taking it off me?
Yeah, I am. So thanks everybody for joining our session on hackathons. Thanks Megan for the great introduction. So I'm just going to be kind of talking you through what a hackathon is, how kind of we organize our hackathons, and yeah, what it's really all about. So hackathons, for anybody who doesn't know what they are very short, kind of focused events where teams from different backgrounds compete for prizes, and generally there's kind of a common problem statement that is given at the beginning of the event, and the teams then try to find a solution. Usually that involves some coding, some presentation, some kind of problem definition and design-driven kind of development to produce an outcome, which is usually, as I said, a prototype that they can present. And it generally involves judging and some really cool prizes for the winners of this event. And it's a really, really good chance also to network, to get to know new people, as I said, from different backgrounds, from different walks of life, and especially from the industry that you can work in.
Sorry, Stefan, sorry to interrupt. Someone just said that your sound isn't very clear.
Okay.
It sounds a little bit fuzzy. It's kind of hard to hear you.
Try to get the other microphones. Sorry, can I change my microphone? Do you know? Sorry, Megan, if I can change my microphone. Can you hear?
Yep. Sorry, there's just kind of like a fuzzy sound in the background.
I don't know how to change my microphone, sorry.
Okay. Sorry, 1 second.
Do you want me just to continue for the moment?
Yeah, just continue for the moment. Sorry.
Okay. So anyway, sorry about that, folks. That's how it is when it's live. I'll try to speak as clear as possible. So what we are trying to do with the hackathons in Code Institute is to kind of foster those kind of collaborative learning aspects that with an online learning experience that we have that you don't usually get. So yes, we have great video content and lessons with text, but there's not that much in terms of group activities. So what we're trying to do with our hackathons is kind of emulate this real world experience of working in a developer team. If we go to the next slide, So this is kind of exclusive at the moment to our Code Institute community. So it's both for alumni and current students. And we do partner with companies to facilitate our hackathons, but it's currently not open to developers outside of our Code Institute community. That might change in the future, but yeah, we'll see about this. We'll try to have around 10 hackathons per year, so like approximately a hackathon per month. Last year, as you can see on the right-hand side, we had in total 9 hackathons with 500 plus participants overall across those 9 hackathons, which was a great result. I think the year before we had not that many hackathons. We had maybe 2 to 3 hackathons throughout the whole year. But last year was really good. And Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're trying to have more and more hackathons with some great partners and some really great initiatives around the topic. Yes, we have developed, and that's kind of with the community together, and I'm going to talk about this in the slide later, but we've developed our own hackathon platform to facilitate all this, which helps us mainly with the admin works, around the sign-ups, around distributing teams, and kind of submitting projects. And that has really enabled us to host many hackathons during the year instead of just the 1 or 2, because the admin work is quite extensive with each hackathon in general. And then we use Slack. As a lot of you probably know, Slack is our main communication channel within our community. So we use that to facilitate the team's communication, the communication with all the participants of the hackathon, and internal communication as well between the judges, between the facilitators, and the staff.
And Stefan, how many hackathons would you recommend taking part in?
So I generally would say over the course of your student life, 1 to 2 maybe. And then if you finish the course, you can join another couple. So hackathons are really good practice for what it means to work in a developer team. So if you're going to, for example, interviews, we've had quite a few students who use their experience with hackathons and were able to answer some more, again, collaborative questions in their interviews. So how do you work with version control? What's your software development life cycle look like? Those types of questions, you will get the answers for when working on hackathon. So but back to your original questions, 1 to 2 when you're students, and as many as you want. Okay.
Brilliant.
Cool. Yes, so the format of our hackathons, so this is kind of a rough, just to give you a rough idea what's going to happen if you join a hackathon. So we split all the participants into teams, usually 5 to 6 people in the team, sometimes a little bit less, or like maybe 4 or 3 if there's a very small hackathon, but I think we generally keep it to 5 or 6. The hackathons that we do usually are around 5 days. So from Wednesday evening, we usually have an intro webinar where we welcome everybody who joins the hackathon. We announce the theme, we just go through general housekeeping, just share the schedule of what's going to happen over the next 5 days. And then generally from Thursday until Friday, until Sunday, there's like the bulk of the work. And then on Monday, people finish off and present their work, and then the judging happens. Each of the teams generally get a facilitator. A facilitator's role is to just help the teams with the communication. If there's any questions that they can't answer, to go back to us as the organizers, to share like really interesting resources about, again, version control, about these kind of aspects that they will be facing. And just keep the flow of communication going. They are not allowed to code, so they're not a help in that sense, but we have a great community in general that can help with the coding-related questions as well. We generally recommend to spend around 8 to 10 hours at minimum on a hackathon. I know that there's a lot of people who spend more than that. 24 hours. I don't know, like up to like insane amounts. I know it myself. I've joined hackathons where I've spent until 2, 3 in the night to code and to just catch up with the team. But yeah, 8 to 10 hours we say kind of is the minimum. We are aware that there's other things that people are dedicated to, that people have families, and jobs, obviously, so they can't spend all day, every day on this. Yes, and then the main software, the main things that we use to deploy things, or the end result that we want is that the project is deployed. So we generally, as part of the program, we use Heroku for like applications with the backend or particular pages with only the front end, but we don't really have any rules on what you have to use. That's just what we recommend. The code needs to be hosted on GitHub because we have a look at the code and see what's going on there. And we want every team to use a Kanban board to demonstrate, their planning and execution. And that's where we kind of try to hone in on the agile software development lifecycle.
And just with signups, what if someone signs up but there's no places left?
If there's no place left, usually what we would do, we would have a waiting list. So Jim is usually the best person to contact there, but you can contact me as well. And we would just put people on a waiting list. There are some hackathons where we have a limited amount of spaces only, so that can happen. And that's usually when we collaborate with partners, just because to have a more structured approach. But when we have only internal hackathons, then we would not really have a set amount of participants. We would just leave it open and see how many participants are interested. But yeah, there's usually a waiting list as well.
Perfect.
And yeah, you would have like 1 or 2 drop-offs, so the chances of getting in a space are pretty good. Or maybe if we see there's a lot of more interest, then we might extend the number of participants.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, here's just an example schedule as well. So again, as I said, on Wednesday we have the intro webinar that's generally held on Zoom, or really hopefully soon on Webinar Jam as well. We're trying to move over to the platform, so let's see how that works out. And that's generally just an introduction. We're going to talk about what the key takeaways that we want the participants to get, and the theme is announced. Then on Thursday, it's just all about brainstorming, setting up your development systems, getting to know your team. Friday then mainly brainstorming, planning, scoping your project, distributing tasks, starting the work. Then Saturday, Sunday, it's all heads down coding. Do the actual bulk of the work. Monday, then just polish it off and present the work. And all throughout this, what we generally recommend is a continuous deployment cycle, which means that deploy as much as you can, just to make sure that your project is still working in the production environment, which helps quite a lot. And then on Tuesday, so we usually have deliberations of the judges between Monday and Tuesday, and then on Tuesday, the teams are announced, and teams can share their projects on social media. And that's a really good aspect of the hackathon, is to bolster your social media presence, bolster your portfolio, network, as I said earlier, and also share the projects then on social media.
And is it necessary to attend all the webinars?
So no, it's not necessary to attend. Obviously, we recommend to attend all of the webinars, just to get into the groove, get the feeling. There's other participants there. Questions that you might have will be answered, and it's just generally good for the feeling, I guess. If you're in a hackathon, you want to participate in most of the things. But all of them are recorded, and we share them with the participants in our internal Slack channel.
Brilliant. Thank you.
The platform, so this, again, I said earlier, helps us immensely with the organization. It automates a lot of things that we would have to do manually, distributing teams, sign up, etc., etc. And we actually developed the platform as part of a community project in 2020 as part of the Hacktoberfest with our students, alumni, staff. and then I've just continuously developed it so that we can now facilitate our hackathons on that platform. And I think it works great. It's relatively simple to use. There is instructional videos on how to use it. We've integrated Slack single sign-on so that if you're part of our community, you can just sign on without having to create an account. And it also allows you to share your projects on social media. There's like a share to social media button, and there's like a public page that you can create for your project to demonstrate your work.
And Stefan, where would they find the demonstrative video of how to use the platform?
So there's two places. I think there's a link there's like a resource pages on the hackathon page. But we also generally, as part of the hackathon, we usually always share the links to all of the videos, to all of the resources with the participants as part of the Slack channel.
Perfect.
So if you're in the Slack channel, you're golden. You get all the information. It's being communicated throughout the hackathons and at multiple stages, and usually with each kind of call to action. So we recommend share your project on social media. Here's a video on how you can do that, or submit your project now. Here's a video on how you can submit your project.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Then the benefits, so that's what it's all about, isn't it? The main benefit that we are trying to convey as part of the hackathons is around those collaborative aspects of software development. And the main two things that I'm trying to always drive home is agile software development and version control in a team setting. And they're the things that, as part of a lot of courses, whether online or at a college or university level, you don't always get. These are things that you just have to kind of learn as you go along, either on the job or as part of projects that you work on in your personal time. And we're kind of trying to facilitate, not to force, but to help students get in the group, facilitate the team environment in kind of a regulated or controlled manner to help them learn. And there's other benefits, the networking, you meet other students, you meet facilitators who might be alumni, who might be staff who work in the IT industry or in the industry in general. We have partners that come in to facilitate. We have sometimes some great keynote speakers that come in during the intro webinar and announcement of the winners. Obviously, you can practice your coding skills on a real-world project. So there's problems that companies are trying to solve that just will help you to deploy and to work on as part of the hackathons. Enhance your social media game. Again, you can share your products. There is badges that students can earn upon completion of the hackathons that they can add to their LinkedIn, for example, to show their network that they've participated, that they've won a hackathon. So that's always really cool, and some amazing prizes as well.
I can't emphasize enough how important it is to share on LinkedIn. Like it looks really good, and a lot of the time in like our LinkedIn masterclass sessions, students, they don't know what to post, they don't know how to be more active on LinkedIn. This is the perfect opportunity, and like employers love to see it. It makes you look great.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree. And just when I think back of what I did when I started in the industry, that was something that I always loved to do. Another certification or another achievement shared on social media.
Yeah.
Enhance your profile, enhance your CV, and as you said, employers are looking at that as well.
Exactly. And sorry, for like what stage of the diploma would you recommend people signing up? Because a lot of students they feel that they're not experienced enough, and that they're not ready. I think they almost feel that they have to be finished the diploma before they sign up for one. But so what would you recommend?
So it's really at any stage. So we don't really. I think the one thing that I generally recommend is if you're working on a project as part of the course, don't sign up to a hackathon just because your focus should be first and foremost on the course. and then adding the extra skills as part of the hackathons. So if you're somewhere else, so not just like two days before a deadline, then sign up. Even if you're at the beginning, there's a lot of people who swear on it now that they've started when they just had some HTML skills, or not even that, who joined the hackathon, who met great people, who learned a lot as part of the hackathon, and got really inspired to continue their journey to learn coding just through the hackathons, and then joined more and more and more, and by joining the hackathon, gained the skills that then needed to find a job or just become a coder in general.
It's a great confidence boost for people as well.
Yeah, exactly. So any part of the course, just maybe not right for you to hand in your project.
Perfect.
We also, so this is a quick case study that I just wanted to show, because we have some really cool partners. One of them is our educational partner, Trust and Soda, or Soda Social, which we've hosted already two hackathons with, and we have, hopefully I'm not revealing any secrets, but we have planned another hackathon later on this year. So this was our first one together. We had up to 70 developers working on the projects. We had some really cool judges from companies like Google, Ecosia, Kin & Carta, Infogrid, and Her, and they were all very proactive. There was a panel discussion as part of the hackathon. There were some really cool prizes, and I have to say, projects at the end of it were just absolutely stunning. It was a very challenging, or not challenging topic, but it was a deep topic, right? There's so many avenues that you can explore, and it's a wide variety of projects that you could go into, and there's some really, really creative solutions. It was a very, as you can see, building an accessible workspace, so something that should be close to everybody's or every developer's heart as well, making your applications or making life and work as accessible as possible for people. So yeah, it was a great topic, great solutions. Overall, a really good experience. I hope for everybody, for me definitely, and I think Jim can agree as well. Something, and do you have something else to share? No, I think that's it. And the rest is just, sign up to hackathons if you're interested. If this looks like something that you want to work on, just make sure before that you really have the time to commit to the hackathons, I guess, that you're not stretched with working on the course or with other things. And then once you sign up, just dive right in and enjoy the experience and gain that experience that you want.
Definitely. Thank you very much, Stefan. And just maybe Jim could answer this one, but if you sign up to a hackathon and something comes up and you have to drop out, what would be the protocol there? Like, is there a time limit, or because I know sometimes a lot of people, if things do come up, it's just life and you can't commit the time, but what would be the best way to go about it?
Right. Thanks, Megan. I think there are two types of drop-offs that can occur. Perhaps someone's got the perspective that they could just enter to observe out of interest sake. We don't have that capability at the moment. The teams are assigned. So essentially, if there are 5 or 6 people assigned to a team and one of those people just doesn't communicate or doesn't take part, it is quite a disadvantage for the team overall. It is obviously a bit different if there is a personal emergency or whatever the case that comes up. We try and cater for that. Once the teams are assigned, it's difficult to change that. So it would mean that the team is a member down. But the best case scenario, or the best thing to do in that case, would just be to DM myself or Stefan on Slack, or post in the main channel if you're not sure how to get hold of us, and we can deal with it on a case-by-case basis.
Perfect. Thank you very much. There's a couple of questions coming in here. Oh, I think you've already got that one, Greta, from Greta, Jim.
Yeah, I think just to voice that one verbally, that's quite a big topic. And from the poll that was run earlier, I can see that a large majority haven't taken part in a hackathon before. So that's a very, very good question. Let me just get back to that. Where was that in the chat? So, you know, the question is, and this is not an uncommon question, by the way, so it's a good one to ask, is if I'm a beginner, will I not drag the teammates down? That also goes along with probably feeling a bit intimidated by the word hackathon. It sounds to be something that only experienced coders would get involved in. That's not the case at all. We balance the teams out when we assign and what's the word? Issue the team. So we'll look at all of the participants. We can see who has, first of all, done a hackathon before, and also what skill level they are at, you know, in the course, whether they're alumni or staff, and we can balance that out to ensure that each team has an equalized numbers as much as we can, obviously, of newcomers and people that are sort of moderately experienced and then very experienced. So even if you have just had a bit of HTML and CSS, perhaps you can work on the README documentation, help draw up wireframes. In every project, there is always something to contribute towards. So even at a beginning stage, as long as you communicate with your team and say, look, I'm willing to do this, or my capability is A, B, and C, and then perhaps just push yourself a little bit further, because that will, at the end of the day, give you a better learning experience.
Perfect. And there's actually just a question there from Thomas. He said, do we get to use source code for our own projects afterwards?
Stefan, do you want to take that one?
So yeah, like you can keep working on the project afterwards. I think we always encourage people to keep working on them. As for the project as part of the course, I'm not entirely sure if they would really align to the requirements there. So that's would be something that you would have to check with your mentor. But I would say that rather keep it outside of the course. So if you want to work it on your personal time after, yes, as part of the course, I would kind of tend to go more towards the ones that we recommend as well.
Perfect. Thanks, Stefan. And Jim, another question that I've came across a couple of times is there, like, what's the difference between a collaborative hackathon and an in-house one? Because I think sometimes students get the impression that they're more serious, or, you know, you kind of have to be at a higher standard to enroll in those ones. Is there much of a difference?
Megan, there is and there isn't. So from just to firstly demystify each of them, the in-house hackathon, we try and make that fun and light and just really creative. You know, people can just get involved and help out in a nice creative project. When it comes to a collaborative project, that obviously all hackathons are collaborative in terms of teamwork, but we collaborate with external companies and try and solve an issue out there, you know. Like, for instance, the ones we've just recently done, which there was a slide on earlier that Stefan went over, was on accessibility in the workplace. And that was something we wanted to solve with tech, you know, creating a site or app that could help in various ways. And the outcome was fantastic. And then, you know, we've had recently the one on mindfulness and well-being, again in the workplace. Because it's a recruiting company, it would be workplace related. We have got quite a few coming up. You know, it could be on climate change, or it could be on a number of subjects, that how can we use our skills as developers to look at solutions for those. So it's a bit more serious as a focus towards the end goal, but at the same time, the actual development under the hood is the same. If you can only contribute HTML and CSS, that's what you can contribute, and every project needs it. So every project needs a README and some really nice wireframes or diagrams. If you're not familiar with wireframes, early on in the course, those are just drawings or ideas on paper to get yourself to visualize what the project will ultimately look like at the end of the day. So yes, the two have their differences, but they're not scary differences. One is more solution-based. The in-house, we try and make those every second month or so just to have a bit of fun.
Brilliant. And actually it comes out, it comes across a lot about when, like, from being a facilitator, that I noticed in the chat that, you know, you're learning from people who are all in your position at one stage as well. Like, everyone is so patient and so nice with each other. And like, I was a facilitator for a team, and unfortunately a member dropped out, so they were already down a member. And one girl who felt she could do nothing and add nothing to the team, like, learned new things in a couple of days, and, you know, they were all praising each other. Like, it's a lovely, friendly environment to learn in as well. And like that, like, I would log onto the call after the week, or onto the chat after the weekend, and they'd be on calls for hours, like, just working alongside each other and learning from each other. It's a really, I couldn't recommend enough getting involved in them. And Jade just mentioned there, thanks for explaining this, Jim. I often have students that express they feel intimidated by the experience required. This is very helpful. And that's so true. Like, it's not intimidating at all.
Yeah, if I've got a quick minute, it's a subject quite close to my heart, because I know that there is a huge intimidation with the word hackathons out there. I have that myself. I'm an ex-student or graduate alumni of the course. And my very first hackathon, I had finished the HTML modules and about halfway through CSS, and I decided to just take the leap. And it's the best thing I ever did. I was incredibly nervous. You know, it's not only getting into the code and can I do this and the imposter syndrome side of it, but it's also meeting new people and, you know, their nerves around that. But once you get into it, I think it's like going to the gym. You know, you wake up in the morning and go, oh, it's too much. But once you get there, you love it. And hackathons become that, and they become very addictive, because you can see in only a few short days, you can create magic out of that at the end. And that's really what they are. It is a kind of magic. So don't feel shy or scared. Get involved. But again, you know, with the trying to avoid drop-offs, if you are going to get involved, please get involved and commit towards the team. And that will definitely help your learning process and your confidence throughout the course tenfold.
Exactly. And with the presentation at the end, is it just, it's one team member that presents, but the rest can just attend and watch, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, totally. So we don't have a limit on who can participate in presentations or how many people generally. So we need one person from the team to talk us through the project, but the rest are more than welcome to join. We usually have the facilitators join. If there's outside judges, we have them join to look at the presentations. And there's a lot of, I guess, a lot of fun for us, and I hope for the teams as well. And then there's usually a part where the judges or any of the facilitators can also ask questions. So it's good to kind of practice that as well.
And as well, I've noticed from like being at a couple of hackathons now that sometimes something just goes wrong on the day when they go to present, and like their website or whatever isn't working. Like, would you recommend still coming and showing all the work behind it? I know it's obviously a bit off-putting for students, like when it didn't go to plan for them, but that is recommended, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. There's so much value in still showing or demonstrating it. Maybe in another way. Maybe you have some, you know, your wireframes, as Jim mentioned. You know, you can show them. Talk us through the thoughts behind your project. Talk us through the tech. Even if you don't have the working prototype deployed, there's still definitely value in showing up and presenting. And the other thing that I think I mentioned this earlier, keep a continuous deployment cycle, and that will definitely help you in making sure that at the end the project is deployed successfully. But we know all it can go pear-shaped in the end. It happened to me as well, so you know. That's just it. But yeah, come share what you've done, even if you don't have anything to demonstrate.
It's a learning curve.
Exactly.
There's a question there. How can the previous hackathon projects be found? Are there GitHub links posted somewhere?
Okay, so I've just answered that one and posted in the link to the hackathon platform. So we do have the upcoming events, and if there's one currently, it'll state that, and then all previous events that you can have a look through. Just there's another question there. When is the next hackathon going to take place? We are doing a very large open source project. It is a little bit more complex, so that would be a higher degree of understanding JavaScript and Python. That will be in March. So we'd like to run these every single month, but obviously we need to ensure that we've got enough bandwidth to do so. What it actually posed a question in my head is perhaps we can run a poll on this, just a yes/no poll, on whether you would be interested in us hosting a newcomer hackathon every so often, just for new people that have never done a hackathon before. And we can help guide that, possibly get some of our more experienced learners involved in that.
Right, I'm going to post that now.
Yeah. And it's great to see, by the way, from the earlier poll that there's a huge number of people that haven't done hackathons before, and it's just from my side, it's really exciting that we've got your interest and you sitting here, hearing us out, and hopefully we see you on one of the events soon.
And actually, Jim, I think I forgot to mention that we actually have a hackathon going on right now, for February as well, and I would imagine that we probably will have one in April at some stage. So probably the next hackathon to really get involved for anybody who's a newcomer, I would suggest is April.
Yeah.
And would it be a good idea for any newcomers to attend the presentation maybe session for this one, just to get a feel for things and see what kind of projects come out at the end of it?
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea. It might just also give you that perspective and idea and feel of just how friendly and how lighthearted everything is. It's not an exam. It's not a huge expectation. We were talking about the unfinished projects earlier. Should I still present them, etc.? And absolutely yes, because the prize is the learning that you've had throughout that week. If your team's website at the end of the day didn't get finished, obviously it's not going to get a very high score on that particular criteria, but you've still won. You've still been part of a team, and you've still learned how to do pull requests from a repository and all sorts of additional things that we'll help you with. We'll help you with lots of resources and information about. But that process is the prize. There are lots of other prizes too, but I'm saying the process is the sort of eye on the prize.
It's very rewarding, all of it. Honestly,
Absolutely.
since I started joining hackathons, facilitators and stuff, I've never found respect for coders. It's the stuff they create in a couple of days. I'm like, I thought that would take months. I've actually just posted the hackathon Slack channel in the chat there, so you can all join that. And Jim and Stefan are constantly posting on it about upcoming hackathons. And Jim, I'm sure you'll post the link to sign up for the presentation on Monday. Would you, that webinar?
Sorry, can you say again? I just missed you for a second there.
On the hackathon Slack channel, will you be posting a link to sign up for the presentation webinar on Monday? Just in case anyone wants to join.
I could do. Generally, that would be done once we start a hackathon. All of the registered participants, anyone that's enrolled, we would invite them to a private channel for that event, so we can keep all of the communication focused. But we can certainly look at doing an invite to anyone else that's interested in viewing.
Perfect.
Okay.
We've 94% for yes on the poll, so that's good. So there's definitely interest there for a newcomer hackathon.
Fantastic. That's excellent. Well, I will definitely look into that. And again, just keep your eyes on the hackathon channel. That's where we post most of the general information about hackathons. I see a question's just popped up there. I signed up for the March project. That is underway. None of the participants have, or those interested have heard back yet, so we'll let you know soon. Okay, and we'll guide you through all of the info and so forth.
There's another one there, and you might just shed your opinion on it, Jim and Stefan. Newcomer only may defeat the purpose. First time I participated in a hackathon was a learning experience. I only did research on a few HTML, but learned a lot of the CSS, JavaScript, Git, etc. from the experienced members of the team. So, but there obviously would be like so many other benefits to a newcomer one to then go into a normal hackathon and participate with all these experienced people. But
Yeah,
what would your opinion be?
I think there's a good benefit in us host our hackathon team. We've got a team of students and alumni that are experienced with collaborative version control, and that team's growing. They are working on a couple of projects to really help people understand and get to grips with the various facets of hackathon events. And yeah, I think obviously when you just to answer that question in more depth, when you have only got a bit of HTML and CSS knowledge, contribute and push. Don't sit back and wait for someone to ask you to do something. Jump forward and say, hey, I can write this, I can style this, I can do the README, and get stuck into the team calls, and then you will discuss what's needed for the project. But once you've got that first experience, it definitely does help going forward. All right.
And there's just another question there from Greta. Is it too late to join the one that started yesterday?
Yes, unfortunately. The enrollments, once they're released, I would advise registering as soon as possible. Once we assign the teams, we can't add anyone else to the teams. It's just the way the platform works. And then obviously the teams are already underway with communication and planning. So you would have to wait for the next one. But as I said, we'll look into what we can do in future for a newcomer hackathon.
I'm just going to do another little poll there. Joining.
Just giving my kind of opinion on the newcomer hackathon. I think from what I understand, maybe there is a bit of hesitation around if there is a lot of newcomers, then there is not really anybody that the newcomers can learn from. However, I think that there's a real benefit also having, like in the first place, yes, having more experienced people that you can learn from, but on the other hand, learning from each other if you're at the same kind of level of experience, because you will probably be able to relate to people at the same level of experience a little bit more than people who are that far ahead in the course or alumni, for example. So it creates probably quite a bit of a different learning experience, nonetheless a good learning experience, and we'll still have more experienced people there to facilitate or to organize the event and give input there.
Yeah, we can certainly look into it, but as Stefan said and I mentioned earlier, we would look at putting alumni in the teams just so there's someone overseeing and guiding everyone in the right direction. But we could work on a very, very simple project just so you get the hang of everything. Yeah. Perfect.
Okay, so we're coming up to time. If there's any more questions, feel free to pop them in the chat now. But Jim and Stefan, thank you so much for your time. And this will be so beneficial for the students. We're actually going to store this on the Careers Hub now. So you'll find it there. We're going to have a separate tab for hackathons, and we'll have loads of resources and videos that we'll pop up there in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, no, hackathons they're booming at the moment. Like I only joined in July, and even since then it's like they're constant. But they're so beneficial, and really couldn't recommend enough getting involved. And I'm sure Jim and Stefan are the same. I sound like a little hackathon cheerleader here.
Yeah, I think we're the same. So when I started in Code Institute, we didn't have that many. Again, organization was a big challenge with a lot of Google Sheets and that sort. But since we have the hackathon platform now, the organization is so straightforward. Don't correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it has helped a lot, and that just facilitates us doing so many more. The only part that we still need to work on is, I guess, the people that work behind it, because it's only the two of us mainly organizing it. So there is a little bit of a time constraint on our side. Yes, we get a lot of help from the community themselves. There's a lot of alumni pitching in, and as Jim mentioned, our hack team who works on different resources is expanding now. So maybe we can have even more hackathons in the future, but at the moment we're just limited because of that. But yeah, one hackathon a month, I guess, is pretty good.
It's brilliant. It's great going. Fair play to the two of you. As well as everything else you have to do, you still manage to pull them off. Right. I think we will wrap it up there. Any final words from the two of you?
Yeah, I think just as I said, don't be scared, don't be shy. Hop on one. It's like riding a bike. The more you do this, and it's, you know, with coding in general, the more you do this, the more the more free flowing and easy it is. And if you do get involved, sorry, not if, when you do get involved in a hackathon, please just get involved in all aspects. Get involved in chatting and talking. Jump into the webinars, ask questions. This is how you learn. I know there is the fear from a lot, and I have that too. You know, kind of. I know everyone seems to think that I speak publicly and it comes easy to me, but sometimes it's intimidating to, you know, ask questions in forums and so forth, especially on a webinar. But jump up and ask the question. We're all a friendly bunch of people. We all love this. We all love coding. We're all in this for the same reason. And the more you, like anything, the more you put into this, the more you will get out. So we really, really look forward to seeing you there soon. And thanks for participating in this call with us.
Thank you both very much. And 96% of people feel more comfortable joining a hackathon after this seminar. So your work here is done. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks a million. Bye. Have a nice afternoon.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.